Are 9-string guitars serious instruments or just ridiculous and over the top and plain nonsense? In this video, we're going to take a look at this ridiculous Legator N9F fan fret 9-string guitar and hopefully find the answers to those questions. And let's start right away with the demo track. Take a listen. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that song. I had a lot of fun writing that for this video. So that was this guitar, the Legator N9F fan fret 9-string guitar. It barely fits on camera. Look at the back. What a beauty. So this guitar tuned to C# standard. So basically E with a low B, a low F sharp, and then a low C# for the lowest string. Into my ENGL Savage 120 Mark II. And for that heavy rhythm tone, I did use a little bit of pre-EQ just to shape the tone a little bit going into the amplifier and make it a little bit more tight in the bottom end. Because with these types of guitars, these really extreme guitars, sometimes you need to do a little bit of extra shaping to make the tone just right. But I thought that the amplifier sounded so good with this guitar. So that was the lead channel, contour switch on for the solo, and then the clean channel with the Boss XS100 for some pitch shifting and stuff. And I used the kill switch as well. And I added some ambient effects like reverb in post, as you saw. The amp was being fed into my Grossmann Fatbox 1x12 ISO cab, in which I've loaded up my Hesu Demon speaker, mic'd up with 3 mics, 2 SM57s and 1 MD421 Kompakt, sent into the DAW, et voila. All right, so the subject of today's video is this ridiculous beast, the Legator N9F fan fret 9-string. Man, this guitar is so interesting and so cool, and I'm so stoked to finally have this here in my studio because I've been waiting for this for some months. Because when I first saw that these guitars were launched, I immediately knew like, oh man, I have to have one of these. I've had some other 9-string guitars in the past, and those were cool. I still have another one, which is like a 30-inch scale 9-string, but not with fan frets. And that's a cool guitar, but this one, because of the fact that it's fanned, and because of the fact that it only has one pickup and a killer top, just really made me want one. So it's complex in the sense that it has a lot of strings and a very long scale length, but very simple in that it only has one pickup, one volume control, and a kill switch. And I like that. Now, of course, I'm going to talk about this guitar, show you how it sounds, and talk about the specs and details. But first, let's tackle the subject of 9-string guitars in general, or extended range guitars in general, because even 7- and 8-string guitars tend to get some flack now and then. Imagine, you know, what sort of criticism a 9-string guitar or a 9-string guitar player might get. I personally think that these types of guitars can be a lot of fun and definitely serious instruments. They're not a toy, not a joke. They're tools that we can use to make music with. And people might say, well, why don't you just get a bass guitar? Because it's so low, right? It does reach the lowness of a bass guitar. And what you have to keep in mind with that comment is that the bass guitar and a normal guitar like this live in a different area of the frequency range. Okay, so a bass guitar is going to fill out that low end, that warm, subby low end, whereas guitars are mostly just about mid-range. So when you put a guitar like this in a mix, as you heard in the intro track, the guitars are going to take up a certain area in the mid-range, and there's going to be some low-end chunk in there as well. But without a bass guitar, it's just going to sound too thin. And then when you make the guitar tone thicker in order to compensate for that missing bass, the sound is going to be weird, so it's not going to work. So even though you can tune very low with the 9-string guitar, you're still going to need bass guitar in there. I mean, Meshuggah kind of proved that, right? With their 8-string guitars and the bass guitar in the same octave. I like the fact that you can go even lower than an 8-string guitar, technically, with a C sharp like this, because you'll allow the bass guitar, even though it's in the same octave, to go a bit lower. So it just sounds super massive and guttural. And I like that. And, you know, piano players or pianos don't get criticized for having a lot of notes. You know, you don't have to use all those notes, but it's cool to have them in case you need them, right? Yeah, piano players are stupid because they have so many notes in the low end, they're going to get in the way of the bass guitar. Now, nobody ever says that. But they do with guitars, because guitar players sometimes are a little bit narrow-minded and they're so used to their traditional style guitars like, you know, Strats and Les Pauls and 6-string guitars. But we have to allow each other to have fun and to be creative and to not be so critical at what other people are doing, okay? And this type of instrument is just very freeing creatively because it opens up new possibilities. When I first got my first 8-string guitar, it was like, whoa, this is so new to me. What can I do with this? And I just started exploring, because you're not working from a frame of reference that you know, it's a new thing and it allows you to come up with new ideas. Same thing when I got my first 9-string. I was like, whoa, this is so different. What can I do? And I just started exploring and started to come up with new ideas and new patterns. Of course, I'm a simple guy, so I like to chug on that low string. I mean, if I want to go a bit higher, then I could just grab an 8-string. But of course, you can use every string. You can play 6-string stuff, 7-string stuff, 8-string stuff, 9-string stuff, anything you want, basically. And then people say, yeah, just take a 6-string baritone and tune down. You can do that, sure, but it's a different experience, because then you'll be missing out on all those high notes. Now I can still play all the stuff that I would be able to play on a 6-string, and also the 9-string stuff. So look, music is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be free of rules and stuff. And a guitar like this allows me to be creative, have fun, and just don't give a beep about what other people think, basically. So it's fun, it's fresh, and it's extreme. And I love that. I love that so much. So that's my sort of TED Talk on why 9-string guitars are awesome. Now, of course, playing on a 9-string guitar physically is a different experience. The neck is quite wide. You know, it's quite a wide neck. Surfboard, as people like to call it. The neck is very long because of the extended range. I mean, 30 inches is quite long for a guitar. So if you have very small hands, it might not be ideal for you. But if you're up for a challenge, this can be a lot of fun. But just keep those things in mind. Anyway, so the Legator N9F. Let's take a look at the specs and features of this guitar. Now, of course, it's a 9-string guitar, right? So it has 9 strings. And it's a multi-scale guitar. So again, the top string has a scale length of 30 inches, which is great for those super low notes. Really great. I had a 9-string guitar that was 28.5 inches or something, or 28. It worked, but it just wasn't enough for that a bit more tight and clear tone on the low string. Now, the scale length of the top string is 28.5. So that's great. It's still a little bit tight if you're used to, you know, Les Paul or Fender scale, but it's definitely a little bit better for bending and stuff. I have this tuned to standard. So, you know, standard E on the bottom 6 strings, then a B, then an F sharp, and then a C sharp. I'm using Elixir strings, so this is a custom set of 9s, a 52 for the low B, 68 for the low F sharp, and then a 0.95 bass string, which didn't fit through the hole completely, for the low C sharp. And yeah, I just love Elixir strings. I put this bit of foam here. I always do that with my guitars to mute the unwanted resonance that you get sometimes with high gain and stuff. Now, obviously, this guitar has a beautiful, beautiful, eye-catching flamed maple top. Take a look at how cool this top looks. It reminds me of Alien or something, or like an ancient rhinoceros. And yeah, I don't know if this comes across on camera, but it's an absolutely insane top. This guitar was made in Indonesia, by the way, I think in 2025. I don't know what the body wood is. It doesn't say on the website. Maybe they forgot. But I think it's probably ash or alder. It's not a super heavy body, so there is a little bit of neck dive going on. For me, that's not really an issue. If you're standing up, I think it's okay, but the neck is just so massive that it does sort of fall down a little bit. So that's also something to keep in mind. Of course, you can use a strap when you're sitting down as well. That might help. And we have a set-through neck construction. And this is a 5-piece neck with maple stripes in the middle and wenge. And I love that. I love that they're using wenge because it just looks beautiful and it feels good. You can feel the wood texture a little bit there, but it's very smooth. So it's a satin finish on the neck and very comfortable to play. And the neck profile is very flat, so it's extremely comfortable. And the upper access here is really good as well. So again, really comfortable guitar to play. And then we have 24 jumbo stainless steel frets, really wonderful, and a richlite fretboard. And I like that. It's very, consistent and very smooth. I have no issues with richlite whatsoever. To adjust the truss rod, we have 2 truss rods in here with 2 spoke wheels over here. So that's just great for easy access as well. We've got a Legator locking tuners on the back and a Legator sort of hip shot style bridge multi-skill. Obviously does the job. And on the back, of course, the guitar is finished, and there's a nice transition there from the finish over to the satin of the neck. The headstock is absolutely massive. And I think it looks really cool. I don't like headless guitars, so this was the one for me. They also make very similar models that are headless. Of course, there's also the same flame maple on the headstock, which is cool. Some dot offset inlays and loom inlays on the side for dark stages. And we have a single Fishman Fluence modern pickup in the bridge position. And I love Fishmans. I like them a lot. I love the moderns a lot, especially for extended range guitars. And then in terms of the controls, only one volume control and a kill switch, which does light up if we plug it in, as you can see. So that's a cool little feature. And voice 1 is the default voicing. And when you pull up the volume control, you get voice 3. So that is the single coil voicing. All right, so those are the specs of the guitar. It's a really well-made guitar. I think these cost around $1,700 or so. I don't know how much they cost when you buy them from a store, but that's not super expensive for the premium features that you get. Stainless steel frets, fanned frets, nice neck, wenge maple, great construction, great fretwork, a good pickup, locking tuners, etc. So that's a very fair price. And yeah, it's just really well made. The only thing that I would say is that the neck dive might be an issue for you. I don't know if they all have that, but I can imagine that it's an issue with these models since the neck just is so massive, But for me personally, it doesn't bother me at all. Anyway, really well made, super awesome. Let's have some fun and just try some tones and stuff. So I'm running through the same rig as with the intro track. Now I'm going through my pedal board over here with all my pedals. Maybe we'll use them here and there just to try them out. Then we're going into the Savage. Once again, I have the lead channel on right now. 1x12 with the Hesu Demon, etc., etc., etc. So let's try the low string because that's the main attraction, right? So let me play a very simple riff because I'm a simple guy on the low string here. that sounds so guttural and filthy, right? You can sort of play a power chord, but it's not going to sound as you're used to. So let's try that. So what I like to do if I play a chord is play the Meshuggah power chord, which is like a diminished type chord. It sounds something like this. So that's really filthy and nasty and just sounds so good. So yeah, open. Sounds nice, right? But also muted. I will say that it really needs special treatment in that you need to use an amplifier that works well with the guitar like this. The ENGL Savage works really well. I'm not running a boost or EQ up front right now, and it still sounds pretty tight. So this amplifier just works really well for guitars like this, but a Marshall JCM 800 is not going to work well by default, for example. So you might need to use some pedals up front to tighten up the tone. And now let's try the single coil voicing and see how that sounds. So that's the single coil voicing in comparison to the normal voice one. So it's going to sound more thick. Let's try the kill switch. Of course, I also used that in the intro track. Now, what I like to do is also, of course, use the other strings when I'm writing tunes with this. For example, I like the juxtaposition or the contrast between like the super low string and then some higher strings. You can do some really cool stuff with that, like so that's why it's nice to have those high strings there, to add some accents and stuff in between your super low notes if you want to. That's what I like to do anyway. Of course, we also have the low F sharp, so that's your standard 8-string territory right there. All of a sudden, that doesn't sound so low anymore, right? So yeah, that low F sharp sounds super clear and punchy. That's really nice. The scale length absolutely helps with that. Let's try the low B, your standard 7-string territory. Yeah, that is sick. And of course, we also have the low E. So much fun. You guys, I'm a simple player. I don't play super complicated things usually, but it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Let's try a clean tone real quick and then try some fun effects. Let's go to the clean channel and see what we get. Let's take a listen. And then the coil split. So yeah, that's a nice option to have, right? That's a clean tone. What can I say? Most people aren't really going to do clean tones with a guitar like this. Anyway, so let's go back to the lead channel. At first, what I want to do is try a wah-wah. I want to see how a wah sounds with that low string. That sounds absolutely filthy. Oh my gosh. So guttural. All right, the wah-wah wins. Let's also try a whammy pedal. Let's see how low the low string sounds with an octave up. Still pretty low, right? I want to try the corn setting, so 1 octave below and 1 octave up, blended 50-50. Let's see how that sounds. It's probably going to sound way too low with low string 1 octave down, but let's try for fun. Damn! Yeah, that's insane. Absolutely insane. So that was the whammy pedal. I also want to try a boost, even though this is already a very tight amplifier. Let's add a tube screamer up front and see how that sounds. It might sound a little bit too nasty and filthy, but let's just try. Okay, so this is the Zuda Triax boost, which is one of my favorite boosts. Yeah, it's almost a little bit too tight. So boost on, boost off, on. I don't know, it doesn't sound bad. Let's try the max on. That's very saturated. Let me just lower the gain a little bit, okay? It can work, for sure, but I'm gonna leave it boostless. Of course, you can play lead guitar on this thing just fine. So yeah, you can play anything you want on a guitar like this. So much fun. Anyway, I could keep playing this guitar forever, but this video will be too long if I do that. So, the Legator N9F. What a cool guitar. So much fun, so inspiring. You know, engineered really well in that it just works well for all the notes, for all the tunings. I love this thing, and I highly recommend checking out these guitars. I think Legator is doing a great job, and I can't wait to check out more of their guitars. So stay tuned on the channel, and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below about this guitar and just 9-string guitars in general. Do you still think that they're a load of crap, or do you, or can you see why these guitars are just serious instruments? Let me know. Also, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, as that really helps the channel out. And if you want to support this channel, please get something at my affiliate links for Thomann and Sweetwater, or get something in my web store like a quad cortex capture pack, etc. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers!